Namaskaram, everybody. Thank you for joining. Om Bhijapuragadekshakarmukurushachakrabjapashotpala Vrayyagraswapishanratnakalashaif Protyatkarambhorvaha Deyo Vallabhaya Sapadmakaraya Ashlishtojjvalatbhushaya Vishwotpatti Vipatti Samsadigaro Vignesha Ishtadadha Shri Nathadigurutrayam Ganapatim Pitatrayam Bhairavam Siddhaugam Vadagatrayam Padayugam Dhuti Gramam Mandalam Veeranthyashtachatushkashashtinavakam Veeravali Panchakam Shrimanmalini Mantrarajasahitam Vande Gurur Mandalam Madharme Madhukaita Bhagni Maheshaf Pranapaharodhyame Hela Nirmita Dhumralochanavade He Chandamundardini Nisheshe Kritaraktabijadanuche Nitye Nishumbhapahe Shumbhadvanzani Samhara Suduritan Durge Namastembhike Sarvam Shri Chandi Mahalakshmi Shri Padukam Pujayami Tarpayami Namaha Satgurum Shri Padukam Pujayami Tarpayami Namaha. Welcome all of you for this another session on the Dashamahavidya series that we are continuing. I hope the introduction helped all of you to understand and correlate with the Mahavidyas, and they are not distant goddesses. They are very much a part of our system actually, and our life is evolving with them in different ways and realities. It is only that the way that we wanted to perceive them, the more we are capable to perceive them, the more we can, what to say, perhaps we can realize their presence, their living presence in ourselves actually. So moving forward, today we are going to discuss about Mahakali. So what is um, the concept of Mahakali? So let me introduce the iconography. What is the iconography that is talking about? Uh, there are different forms of Mahakali. Now, if I have to say, like there are Mahakali, Dakshina Kali, then Urdhva Kali, Adhomukha Kali. There are different Kalis are there. Now we are discussing typically the Dakshina Kali actually. We like because Dakshina Kali is the most prevalent, and and for the upasana, for the purpose of upasana, there's like Dakshina Kali is the one where we associate. So let me bring in the description of what the Dhyanam, the Dhyana Shloka of Dakshina Kali actually talks about Mahakali. The description starts with the face, that it is a dreadful face, and having dissolved hair actually. Dissolved means opened hair completely, just like, it is not mated, but it is dissolved. She is wearing a garland of freshly cut human heads. And the description talks about the fact that they are 51 in number, actually. They are 51 in skull in total. And they have a deep inner significance. The 51, the foundational understanding is that they are the Matrika Aksharas because she's the origin of the universe. So these skull, they represent what is called as the universe coming into an existence, or the universe start to express itself, because bhasha is the foundation of expression. So these garlands are nothing but forms of expression. But let me not give the details now, because we will look into them later. But only this particular 51 freshly cut human heads. She has 4 arms. In the first upper left hand, she holds a sword that is being just bloodied with the fresh blood, actually, like, which means what? She's killing, actually, like that blood which is there on that sword, it is not dried, it is very fresh. And she holds a severed head in her lower left hand. In her upper right hand, she makes the gesture of Abhayam. I am there for you, Abhayam gesture. And below, that is the right hand, the lower right hand, she is granting what is called as boons, Abhaya Bharada Hastam, actually. See the terrific combination. One side, blood is oozing from the blood is oozing from the sword, and there is a freshly cut head. On the other side, she's giving Abhaya Bharada Hastam. We need immense maturity to understand Mother Goddess in form, actually. And she is not technically black, actually. She's bluish, actually. Sometimes she is also seen to be dark green, actually. Dark green means, I would say, the color of algae. That green represents what? Because she's the origin. She's coming as the first manifestation of the universe. That greenery, that life, that nature is represented in her, actually. Or otherwise, she's blue because Akasham is the primordial tattvam in the Panchabhutas. Therefore, she is that blue in nature, because that entire cosmos, that entire formless cosmos, which is so bluish, so much, so much spread everywhere. Interestingly, it is not just the Akasha which is blue in color, even the vast sea is also blue in color, actually. So the complexion is blue, lustrous, more like a dark cloud, because the description is given for us to meditate, actually. So as interpersonalized it is easier for us to conceptualize. If somebody is a painter here, for example, my students, Shweta Shukla, who is in our Maha Vidyalaya, should be able to paint, actually. Artists need this kind of a description to paint, actually, or we, at the maximum, when we meditate, when we close our eyes and meditate, we should be able to do what is called as kalpanam, actually. Kalpanam is a very important part in Tantra. Kalpayami Namaha. Kalpayami means what? In imagination, actually. Imagination is very different from speculation, actually. Imagination comes with understanding. Speculation comes with more of confusion, actually. So imagination, creativity. Moving forward. She is Digambari. She's completely naked. And her body gleams with the blood that is smeared all over from the garland of the freshly severed, the skull garland that she's wearing, right? So it's full of bleeding with what is called as with blood, and that is completely smeared on her, actually. And let us go a little more further. I hope you are all able to see the iconography that we have shared. If you can give me some emojis, I understand that you are there, actually. Yes. Thank you. Her kundalam, the ornaments, specifically the ear ornaments that she's wearing is of the corpse of children. Young children who have lost life. She's wearing two of her kundalam as the severed corpse of children. Her fangs are quite dreadful, and her face is very fierce. Her stanam, that is the breast, are very large and round in shape, and she wears a girdle made of severed human heads around her waist, actually. That the bodies which were severed, those hands are there, so she has woven them together and she's wearing it around her waist. Blood trickles from the corner of her mouth, making her more gleamy, and she makes terrible sounds, it seems. And the place she lives is in Smashanam, cremation ground, where she is surrounded by the howling jackals. And she most famously known to stand on the chest of Shiva, who is lying as a corpse. More than this, if I have to describe the dhyanam, you have to come to the higher levels of sadhana. Until here, I can tell you now. So she stands on Shiva. Should I tell a little more? If you tell me in emojis, I can tell you. Okay, little more. Okay. Shri Mahakali Namaḥ. Her tongue is lolling out, and the tongue is also bleeding with blood because she has freshly drunk blood, and her eyes are sunken. Her eyes are sunken and intoxicated, and she smiles, which is known only to a few. Who are that few? Now the question will come. I am not going to tell you now. She wears the crescent moon, the Ardhachandran, on her forehead, and she is decorated with sarpamalas, with garlands of the snakes, serpents. She drinks wine, and she has a serpent tied as an yajnopavitam. She is wearing garlands of pearls, which are not actually pearls. They are actually the reproductive, what is called as the life is hanging like pearls in her neck, which is ready to sprout, actually, the various manifestations of life. She is also seen as seated on snakes. If, for example, if this iconography, if she's like tired, if she's standing for a long time and she wants to go and sit, where she will sit? A asan that is made up of snakes, actually. And sometimes she is seen with a large belly, what we call a pot belly, which is very prevalent with Tara. We will go the next Mahavidya, but sometimes she's seen there. And that pot belly is nothing but the universe is what she's carrying within her. She is always laughing, very dreadful, but she is Varapradayini. She is Abhayapradayini. She grants boons to the qualified aspirants. This is what the Dhyanam is talking. There is a lot of things that is there in the Dhyanam. Honestly, I have cut short it. We need a lot of maturity to go through that Dhyanam. But whatever you can know at this stage, I have explained. Okay. Now, I've made a lot of notes. let me explain how she came into, what is her origin actually. Isha, we can close the image of Amma. Thank you so much. The Shakti Sangama Tantra is the primary text that talks about the origin, students. Though there are multiple origins that we are going to see, but the Shakti Sangama text is the one, the Shakti Sangama Tantra text discusses the origin, and the origin takes us to the space of Sati. You remember in the introduction, I told you about Sati and Shiva, and 10 doors appear and 10 Mahavidyas will come into existence. But there is a little more extended pastime there. The story is there where it seems when the moment Amma sees Parameshwara, she gets that anger, that why he landed up coming like this actually. That anger in itself, in that anger, she turns like a dark cloud, it seems. Okay, that anger turns out to be a dark cloud, and that, though the what is called as this description is there in Bhagavatam, but the Bhagavatam doesn't explicitly say that that is part of Kali. I mean, Kali is merging, but the description says that Devi turns as the black goddess. She becomes black in that anger, and from her, what is called as that the 10 Mahavidyas come into existence, and where Kali is also primary. So what the text is trying to say is that even before the 10 Mahavidyas came into existence, Kali was already there actually. The Tattva of Kali was already present. Are you able to follow what I'm trying to say? And the Bhagavatam says, yesterday I did tell you about all the friends who are very helpful in our sadhana, in the 7 chakras. You remember? All those our friends are actually coming from where? They are the lowest manifestations in a way of Mahakali, who are very well a part of the Siddhi Vidyas. Siddhi Vidyas or the Upa Vidyas actually. They are all not the Mahavidya. Because that is also part of the knowledge actually, correct? You need a lot of skills to master them actually, in a way. So they are all Siddhi Vidyas or Upa Vidyas. And the origin is coming from where? The origin is coming from Kali only, which is very important for us to understand. Now, let us understand the origin a little more in detail. Academically, we see that the earliest text is given us from 600 CE actually. The 600 CE before, it seems, Kali's primary sources were found in various texts and various, in various parts of India, in our Bharata Desham, where Kali's existence was seen actually. She's one among the Mahavidyas where her existence is there throughout the Bharat actually. When I'm talking about Bharat, I'm talking the large picture of Bharat. For example, if you say one aspect of deity, for example, Tripura Sundari or any other aspect and all of Devi, they were belonging to regions, you understand? But Kali had a pan India kind of an exposure actually. Or she was there everywhere actually, starting from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, if I have to say. Or at that point of time, what is called as the larger part of the Bharat, which covers all the other, all the other countries which have now been completely, completely demarcated as different countries. So until there, the entire South Asia or the Southeast Asia, everything had the influence of Kali. If I have to put it in a very historical and a political manner, the South Asia completely had what is called as the effect or the exposure towards this Kali actually. And she is primarily was considered as a periphery deity to the society actually, periphery deity. She was not a mainstream deity actually. She was never been or considered as a mainstream deity, but she was a periphery deity. Or in other words, she was considered to be the goddess of the battlefield. The goddess of the battlefield. And this, as being the goddess of battlefield, the reference is coming from Agni Purana and Garuda Purana, actually. How in battles she was invoked, actually. Before getting into any battle, her presence or her grace was invoked for what is called as becoming victory, for being victorious. There is this reference coming from Bhagavata Purana, where Kali's origin was described, where a black goddess was worshipped by a group of thieves, it seems. She's a goddess of thieves. In a way, she's considered to be like that, In particular in the Bengal, this kind of an understanding was there. But unfortunately, the story is very different that given in the Bhagavatam, actually. So these group of thieves, they were worshipping her, it seems. And they wanted extra, powers. They wanted better powers to of course, to do better stealing or whatever their activities were. So what they felt, they wanted to give a Nara Bali. They wanted to give a human sacrifice, actually. And they had selected the best of the individual who was a Sreshta Brahmana. Okay, a Shreshta Brahmana, a very, a Brahmana who is like, completely into what is called as the Brahma Jnana. So they get caught of him, and he will be brought to their hideout, actually, where they have placed a Mahakali Vigraham. And he was such a Brahma Varchasvi, that is this Brahmana who was caught for giving Bali. He was such a Brahma Varchasvi that his tapas actually started burning that entire place, it seems. The entire place caught fire, it seems, before the Bali was given. And then Kali comes pratyaksham from the Vigraham, and she will kill all these thieves. She will sever their heads, and she will save this Brahma Varchasvi, the Brahmana, who was caught by these thieves. And she also calls all these friends yesterday, whom I said, they all come into that place, and they all land up happily drinking the blood of the thieves. Actually, they make a party there. In simple words, if I have to put an understanding to you, so they will simply have a happy party, actually, drinking the blood of all these thieves, actually. So this is the way the Bhagavatam is actually introducing Kali. I'm giving you the various origins of Kali, actually. Next, let us understand because we just mentioned the fact that she is worshipped in what is called as the peripheries of the Indian society. How she is worshipped, actually. Initially, she was worshipped, particularly in the 6th and the 8th centuries. If we see the references are given in the Shastras, it seems that the Kali temples were built far from the villages or the towns, actually, particularly near the cremation ground the temple was built, actually. Smashana Bhumi. And not that every section of society was worshipping her. Only a few people in the society were worshipping, or Maybe others will worship when there is a need, it seems. When they feel threatened with something, then they approach her, it seems. Otherwise, she's particularly worshipped by the low caste people who were there in the society, in the lowest of the lowest caste, wise who were there. They were the ones who were worshipping her, it seems. The temples were built for Kali in such a place that even where there will be no any what is as vegetation will also be not there, it seems. That kind of a space is very much, you know, preferable, it seems. Not even trees, like kind of a deserted area, which is a barren land actually. And how the temples are constructed? The temples are constructed with the bones, the flesh, the blood, and the heads of the body parts of the enemies who were killed in that battle, it seems. If somebody wants to build a Kali temple, they used, these are the materials that is used to build her temple. The tusk of the elephants were used as the roof of the temple. Every day they will light lamp, it seems. Not like a diya. A body will burn continuously, it seems, and that is the deepam that is lit for Kali, it seems. And they will beautify the temple with the cut heads of peacocks, men, young babies who died. These are the things which are hanged in the different places, like the way we hang what is called as the mango leaves and flowers and all in the temple. So in her temples, this is what is hanged, it seems, as far as the decorations are concerned. Generally, the temples are cleaned with water, but her temple is cleaned with blood, it seems. Now you have to do meditation on all these things. There are so many Kali Bhaktas are there, na? So this this is the way the temple is constructed, and it is maintained originally, it seems. This is well documented, actually, whatever I'm saying. What about the worship, the rituals? Yesterday, as we mentioned, like in the introduction, mostly the people who are in the Virya Bhavam, they are the ones who are actually land up worshipping her. So particularly the warriors or the yoginis are the ones who actually worship Mahakali. And the warriors, to demonstrate completely being fearless, they land up chopping off their own head and offering it to Devi, it seems. Because to Kali, that severity is very important. That complete what is called as being, that aham should not be there even to the slightest of the extent if you really want her kripa. Now the question will come, if I have severed my head and I am no more alive, how will I know I got her kripa or not? Correct? To this, you have to really do Kali sadhana. Then only it can be answered. Because it outwardly looks like the death of the body, actually. Is it really the death of the body? Or is it the body is going to come back alive? Or if it is having some other dimension? All these things cannot be explained in this manner, actually. That's what the Shastram says. Though the Shastram is explaining, but there, after explaining everything, the Shastram is saying, this cannot be just like that explained to anybody. If it is explained, it will have various consequences. It can be only be experienced by the one who is doing sadhana. So I am skipping that part. What am I trying to say here? The one who is completely filled with that Virya Bhava is alone, that is, can lead to what is called as Kali's worship. She is worshipped with items such as blood, flesh, burning corpses, vultures, jackals, and goblins. And she is seated on a couch of 5 ghosts. Pancha Preta Sanasina Pancha Brahma Swarupini. Pancha Preta. These 5 ghosts are nothing but the Pancha Pretas. Who are these Pancha Pretas and everything? We will look into it in higher levels. In her Simhasanam, we have what is called as, we keep the bolsters, right? The pillows, basically. All her pillows in that Panchapreta Sanasinam is nothing but the corpses are the ones which are acting like pillows. And her bed is completely made up of human flesh, actually. How terrific, na? Description itself. These are the early ways in which the text has documented as how the evolution of Kali, her temple, and her Upasana, who has worshipped her, is evolving in a very primary sense. But Kali's appearance becomes much famous in the celebrated text, which is Devi Mahatmyam, actually. Devi Mahatmyam is one of the primary references in which Kali is seen in a very different dimension, actually. I mean, that fierceness is there, but that warrior, that goddesses of warrior is presented in the Devi Mahatmyam, where it is very explicitly said that she appears out of Durga. She appears out from Parashakti. Particularly the 3rd chapter or the 3rd episode, where Durga is trying to defeat Shumbha Nishumba and all the allies of Shumbha Nishumba. At that point of time, Devi wanted support, and from her own system, Kali appeared. And where Shumbha Nishumba were killed, and then followed by Chanda and Munda are also killed by Kali. Durga, who was in the form of Kali. Kamakshi. And there it is very clearly, her iconography is described, where it says that Kali is appearing from the forehead of Durga. Kali is appearing from the forehead of Durga, and Kali is how she is. She's dark complexioned, wears a human garland made up of human skulls. She's wrapped, or she has adorned a tiger skin, and she has sunken eyes with a gapping mouth, and she has a lolling tongue, actually. She's roaring loudly into the battlefield, and she tears the demons apart and crushes them in their jaws, which means what? She gives a punch on the face. It's all started with her, it seems, actually. Punching on somebody's face. And the most celebrated part of Kali comes into the existence where, in the story of Rakta Bija. Rakta Bija, you all know that he gets, when one drop of blood will fall off him on the ground, he will again come into existence, actually. So the more Durga was trying to kill him, and the more the blood of his was splashing on the ground, more Rakta Bijas were manifesting, actually. So she thought what to do with this fellow. The only thing I can do is she brings out the Kali within her, and what Kali will do? Kali will simply drink all the blood of Rakta Bija. Finished. And therefore, what happens? Once the entire blood is drunk, he could not reproduce him more. Therefore, he was killed into the battlefield, actually. So this is the theory, or this is the pastime from Devi Mahatmyam that we are getting about the origin of Durga, about Kali. Now the next, from the Linga Purana. In the Linga Purana, it says that there was a demon who was called as Daruka, who was present. And Daruka has got this Varapradhanam that he can be killed only by a fierce female, actually. Because, quote unquote, females were seen to be very soft-natured individuals, right? Including the goddesses, actually. So he asked this intelligent kind of a Varapradhanam, that is, he asked for this boon where he said, I want to be killed only by somebody who is very, very fierce, a woman being very fierce, a female who is very fierce. And then, of course, there was nobody was there, and he was all kinds of atrocities. And then the entire Devata clan, along with Shiva, they will approach Parvati, it seems, that this is what it is needed. Now you have to help something. So Parvati, what she will do is that Parvati will enter into Parameshwara's Shariram, that is, Parvati will enter into the body of Parameshwara, and she sits in the throat region of Parameshwara, and she manifests from there. Why by throat region? What is the reason? That poison which is there in the Nilakantha, that poison, she comes out in the manifestation of that poison to be as fierce as possible. That's the reason Linga Purana says that that poison was that because it was Nilakantha, that's the reason she appeared in the Nila Varnanam. She was blue in color, actually. And in that battle, she went with what is called as Pishachash. She went with flesh-eating demons, and she attacked the army of Daruk and Daruka and puts an end to the adharma. Because she was the manifestation of that Avirbhava Visha, that is the Neela, that is the poison that was there in Neelakantan, that is Parameshwara. And also she had killed Daruka and she had drunk the blood, and it was very difficult for her to get a control on herself. And that's what is called as the Kali Tattva, the dance of destruction. And her dance of destruction was so severe that it felt that the entire world is going to come to an end. Therefore, that's the reason Shiva will go and interfere, where Shiva will go and lie in front of her, it seems, and then she will step on Shiva. Therefore, she becomes Shantihi. That moment, she comes back to her Shanti Tattva. And who was she? She was, because the Linga Purana says that Kali, who is that Kali? She is Himavan Putri. In other words, they are very clearly saying that she is Parvati. And she had to take out that form, that particular form, when there was a need for protecting the Dharma. Let us look into what Vamana Purana is saying to us actually about origin of Kali. This is a bit funny, maybe. Or maybe deeply patriarchal. It seems that once Shiva and Parvati are having a conversation, or maybe like most of you, like typical husband and wife getting into some kind of fights, tu me fights that happens. So Shiva landed up calling Parvati as, you are so dark complexioned. And she gets so offended, it seems. And she wants to land up taking all beauty treatments actually to become fair. I mean, in other words, she was so offended by this, and she takes up austerities to become fair. Therefore, she became fair and she became what is called as Gauri. Gauri means somebody who is very fair. But because that dark complexioned personality of Devi remained in a particular aspect, she was originally called to be what is called as Kaushiki, and later she was called as Kali. Got it? Originally she was called as Kaushiki, and later she was called to be Kali. So this was from Vamana Purana. There is the reference in the Advaita Ramayanam where it is said that Sita transforms into Mahakali. Adbhuta Ramayanam. That is, during the battle, during the battle, it seems that with Ravana, when Rama was having this battle, that Sahasra Shiraha, Ravana couldn't be controlled. So Devi, therefore, Sita, who was so patient until that moment, she took up that fierce tattva of Mahakali. And she landed up destroying the army of Ravana. Now we know only one aspect of Ramayana, which is Valmiki's Ramayana, which says that Rama only killed Ravana. Okay. But here this Adbhuta Ramayana says that it was Devi's strength was also added to it in a very great deal actually. And therefore Devi had to take the Kali Swarupam or the Kali Tattva to finish off Ravana and this Ravana's army actually. Okay. Let me tell you another instance. These are all a little folklore traditions. The folklore tradition that is coming from the east, from Bengal and the eastern region like Orissa and all, where they have this very popular story. Somebody from Bengal only should tell me, Saurav or Jayant from Orissa and all, whether these stories, how far they have heard growing up with this story. We know that Daksha Prajapati's Yajna and Sati will go there and, and what is called as, she gets so furious, and then she does what is called as Atma Tyaga of herself, and then Shiva takes the burning body, and all these stories, correct? All of you know this story. But there is another story here where, imagine the fact, no, this is a very interesting story actually. Imagine the fact that Devi didn't give up her body. Okay. She's standing right there in Daksha's Yajna, and she's so furious, and she's saying, why should I kill myself? Let me kill all of you, actually. And what she does, she will rub her nose, it seems. She will rub her nose, and from that part, what happens? Kali emerges, and she destroys the entire sacrificial the sacrificial yajna that is taking place, it seems. And that way, Mahakali's appearance is there in the folklore traditions in the eastern India, in the eastern part of our India. And that aspect of Kali was seen to be the primary manifestation of Devi Parvati. Actually, that's the reason in Bengal, in Orissa and all, we have this importance for Kali actually, because Devi's first primary manifestation was considered to be very strong, and that's the reason we have this worship of Kali, which is very prevalent in Bengal. Now, this very famous story, which I have already written in our Shakti Kshetra reflections. Recently, I wrote, and most of you commented here about the Chidambaram, the very famous dance competition in Chidambaram, actually, where it seems that there is a competition that happens between Mahakali and Mahakal. And there is this entire, the dance competition is taking place for them to decide who is going to take over the territory of this place, which is called as Chidambaram. And in the dance, the competition that was going on, it seems that Parameshwara performs a particular karana. There are 108 karanas in Bharatanatyam, actually. Karana means postures are there. So he does this, one of the primary posture, one of the most difficult and one of the last posture in the Bharatanatyam, where he lifts his completely right leg on top of his head, actually. And he stands in one leg. And it seems that Devi couldn't actually lift her leg, primarily because she had the modesty, quote unquote. Kali having the modesty, actually. This is a very nice story, actually. Kali having the modesty, therefore she didn't lift her leg, therefore she accepted that, okay, fine, boss, I'm accepting my defeat and I'm giving up the battlefield, actually. But now you should, if you really wanted to know whether this is the truth or what is the theory behind this, you should go and read the two different parts that I wrote. Actually, those who have still not started reading and writing and simply want to sit and listen to these classes, if you seriously want to dwell into, the Śākta Tattva more, you should start reading, actually. So I have written the further part. Is she really had that modesty that she didn't, lift her leg, or what is the original, or what is the interpretative theories that is coming out from the Shakta perspective, actually? So in this way, coming back to what I'm saying, that Kali came into existence, and along with the competition that happened with Shiva, she accepted her defeat, it seems, and she goes and settles in the periphery again, like in the borders of Chidambaram, actually. That is the what is called as the most prevalent understanding in the southern India about Kali's origin, actually coming from Chidambaram. And from there it goes to different, there are other different Kali temples and everything, but origin of Kali, if we have to talk about how Kali came into and what is her primary pastime in the South India, this is what is largely that is quoted, actually. And so in terms of all these the religious historical episodes, or the interpretations that I gave you, we have to understand that she is frightening, she is dangerous, she's the most, what is called as the wrath and the furious among the entire Dashamaha Vidyas. But the Shakti Sangama Tantra it's giving us a lot of justification, in the sense, like she had to be fearful because she had to protect, and the mother is the only one who can protect the children, and she takes up the role of being in the borders to protect the land and everything. At the end of that, the Shakti Sangama Tantra says one interesting thing. No matter how much the Tantra or the Shastra will keep on giving explanations, the one who has to realize Kali will realize it even without these explanations. That's it. Got it? Why she is furious, why this, why that. We can keep talking about it, we can keep arguing about it, we can keep debating about it, but who can understand her? The one who wants really Atma Darshana, the one who wants to go. She is in the periphery because the one who actually wants to go to the periphery, not being in the samsara sagaram, not going on compromising within the samsara sagaram in even wanted spirituality, but somebody who can take the courageous step that I can slowly or maybe steadily or maybe fastly go out of the samsara sagaram and go and take myself to the peripheries, they will have the darshanam of Mahakali and they will understand the tattva lakshanam of Mahakali. And because of this only, she is a very mysterious goddess. She will continue to remain very mysterious, actually. She will remain the most mysterious, most debated, most whatever you keep adding, she will remain actually. And she will also be the goddess who will be worshipped the most also. Because among the 10 Mahavidyas, all the maximum of the manifestations who are there as protective deities in each of your villages is Mahakali only, actually. We can't escape the truth. Correct, na? Yes or no? The moment you want protection, you have to run to her only. No matter you keep criticizing her like anything, she's not bothered because she's beyond anybody's judgment, actually. And she is what she is. And why she is like that, as I told you, there are hundreds of reasons we can keep talking about it. But ultimately, none of these reasons are going to justify what she is actually. It's only for a upasaka or somebody who's a bhakta or somebody who wants to step in spite of all these fearsome aspects of her. We are showing a justified aspect of what she is actually. But the one who really wants to reach her, there is no justification is required. All is fair in love and war, actually. That's what they say. And that concept truly applies to Mahakali, actually. So with this, I am ending the origins of Mahakali. Tomorrow, we will get deeper into the aspects of Mahakali, because today I gave you a larger understanding. Where did she comes from? Various major Puranas, what they talk about her existence, even including the folklore theories that are present. I gave you a kind of a holistic picture. I hope this helped all of you to understand where she's coming from and what it is all about. Moving further, tomorrow we will discuss further in detail about Mahakali's, presence, what the Shastram is talking about in terms of her worship, the approach to Mahakali, particularly for beginners. What is that they have to understand about her? I'll try to talk on that more tomorrow. Thank you so much. Let's finish the class with Mangalam. Sarva Mangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trayambhake Gauri Narayani Namostute Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadrakali Kapalini Durga Kshama Kshiva Dhatri Swaha Swada Namostute. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarvam Shri Chandi Mahalakshmi Arpanamastu. Tathastu. Thank you so much. See you in tomorrow's class.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.
Namaskaram.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.